Introduction: The Hidden Code of Power, Wealth and Mental Mastery. Solomon is remembered not because he was the strongest king, but because he asked for the capacity to judge well. That distinction matters. Power without discernment multiplies error. Wealth without stewardship amplifies appetite. Knowledge without restraint becomes a weapon against its owner. This episode interprets the Solomonic tradition as a code of mental mastery, timing, speech, consequence, and ethical power. It is not a claim that every saying attributed to Solomon belongs to a single historical manuscript. It is a practical reconstruction of the wisdom pattern his name represents, and a test of whether you can govern yourself before attempting to govern circumstances. Forget everything you have been told. Erase from your mind the image of the pious old man sitting passively on an ivory throne, reciting moral advice so that the peasants would be good citizens. That is the Solomon of official history. That is the permitted Solomon, a safe figure domesticated and castrated by religious scribes. Now they were scribes who feared true power. But there existed another Solomon, a dark Solomon, a sorcerer king, a man who did not ask for favors from heaven, but snatched fire from the gods. The forbidden legends, those whispered in hermetic lodges and hidden in the basement of the Vatican, do not speak of a king who prayed for wisdom. They speak of a mage who bore a ring. Welcome to Forbidden Proverbs of Solomon. This is not a book of religion. I am not here to save your soul. I am not here to tell you to be meek, humble, and obedient. Meekness is the virtue of sheep, and this sonic grimoire has been designed to awaken the lions. For millennia, humanity has had access to the public Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, texts full of warnings about prudence, the fear of God, and the vanity of life. They were necessary texts. They were the instruction manual to maintain social order so that the masses would work and not rebel. But in the shadows, in the scrolls of the Clavicular Salomones, and in the oral tradition of the Kabbalah, the forbidden proverbs were kept. These were not instructions to serve. The demons of the Goetia are psychological codes. They are your own traumas. They are your visceral fears, your repressed rage, your unbridled lust, your laziness, and your devouring ambition. The common man is a slave to these demons, and you will learn the secret of the Ring of Solomon. Now you will learn of the seal that closes your mind to external influence and grants you absolute sovereignty over your kingdom. I warn you, this knowledge has a price. The price is innocence. You will no longer be able to blame your parents, the government, or the economy for your situation. Reclaim the throne that has always been yours by divine right, and command the forces that shape the fabric of your existence. The age of the sheep is over. The reign of the sovereign spirit begins here and now in your life. Chapter 1. The Mental Throne. No one rules outside if they do not rule inside. Listen to the truth that older traditions concealed behind incense. A man may conquer 1,000 cities. He may accumulate mountains of gold and have armies that darken the horizon. But if that man is not master of the voice that whispers within his own head, he remains a slave with a crown. The true hierarchy of the universe is measured by silence and will. Consider the first principle. He who does not sit on the throne of his own mind will inevitably be the footstool for another man's feet. Imagine the Temple of Jerusalem. Do not look at it as a religious structure. Look at it as an engineering diagram. Stone walls, outer courtyards, holy places, and at the absolute center, the Holy of Holies. Now the sanctorum, the place where the presence dwells. Your mind is that temple. But look at the state your temple is in. The walls are torn down. Merchants have entered the atrium and sell trinkets of cheap distraction. Thieves come and go as they please, stealing your energy. And worst of all, the throne is empty in your life. Or perhaps it is not empty. Perhaps it is occupied by a usurper. Most human beings walk through life decapitated. They have a body, they have desires, they have fears, but they do not have a king at home. Their minds are a chaotic democracy where every thought, every impulse and every fear screams to take momentary control in this world. 1 minute anger rules, the next lust rules, the next fear of poverty rules. There is no direction, there is no unified eye holding the scepter, and the law of nature is cruel but exact. The power vacuum is always filled. If you do not rule your mind, someone else will. The system will do it. Advertising will do it. Your dead parents will do it. Your childhood traumas will do it. The politician of the moment will do it. You will become a secondary character NPC in someone else's story. This chapter is your first act of rebellion. It is the moment you enter the throne room, draw your sword, decapitate the usurpers, and sit in the chair that belongs to you by divine right. Now, through the architecture of the mental palace, to understand why your external life is a chaos or a mediocre boredom, you must understand the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. They reveal that his wisdom was not an accumulation of data, it was attention control. The king knows that his attention is the most valuable currency of the kingdom. Where the king looks, that flourishes. Where the king withdraws his gaze, that withers. The king looks at the thought through the peephole. Now he sees it is a disguised assassin, and does not open. He lets it starve to death outside in the cold of oblivion. By maintaining this boundary, you preserve the integrity of your inner sanctuary, and ensure that only those thoughts that serve your sovereignty and your purpose are allowed to take root and manifest in your kingdom. To identifying the usurpers, the false kings, before you can reign, you must know who has been warming your seat. This usurper makes you feel superior momentarily, but it is actually projecting your fears. It is projecting your own insecurities. It distracts you from your own work. The sovereign observes these characters. He recognizes them, but he does not identify with them. If you decide that you are going to be rich, the king holds the vision of wealth. When reports of unpaid bills or economic crisis arrive, the king is not afraid. He does not change the order. He keeps the scepter held high. I have said wealth, and wealth it shall be. Your mind is a cage of crickets, constant noise, obsessive internal dialogue. That noise is the energy leak of your empire. Imagine a pipe full of holes. The water, your power, escapes before reaching the destination. Compulsive thought is that leak. This is so I am. When a problem arises, the king does not panic. What am I going to do? The king evaluates and sentences. This is a temporary setback. Now the coronation protocol, the practical exercise. I do not want this to be just philosophy. I want you to do it tonight or right now if you can. You are going to perform the throne ritual. The settings sit in a comfortable chair with your back straight. They recognize the authority that has finally returned to them. The order of the day. Now give a single command for your life. Not a wish list, a command. Example, I command clarity and strength 4. You do not accept the gift of poison. The insult falls to the ground. You have broken the control that others had over you. That is real power. Power is not just controlling others. Authority comes from God, your higher self, direct to you, without intermediaries. Declare your independence. Clean the palace, because remember the principle, he who does not sit on the throne of his own mind will inevitably be the footstool for another man's feet. Chapter 2. The tongue of fire, the decree is a spell. The unexamined mind believe that words are wind, that the air carries them away, and they disappear into nothingness. The initiate knows that the word is a brick. With words, empires are built, and with words, walls are torn down. There is no tool more dangerous in the hands of an ignorant person than their own throat. Consider the second principle. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. The unexamined mind speaks what he sees, describing his chains. The king speaks what he desires, creating his freedom. Look in the mirror. What you see in there, that wet and fleshy tongue, is not just an organ for tasting wine or chewing bread. It is the rudder of your ship. It is the detonator of your reality. And yet you use it with criminal negligence. You go through the world firing words as if they were blanks without realizing that every syllable you pronounce is live ammunition. You complain about your luck, insult your own body, and curse your economy. You gossip about the fall of others. And then when your life becomes a hell, you look at the sky and ask why. The sky answers you because you asked for it. King Solomon was feared not only for his armies, but for his decrees. When the king spoke, reality trembled. In the magical tradition, it is said that Solomon knew the secret. It is said he knew the secret name of God, Shem Hamphorus, and that by pronouncing it, he could alter matter. Beyond the myth, the teaching is physical. The universe is acoustic. In the beginning was the Word. Before light, there was sound. Vibration is the mother of form. If you want to be sovereign of your world, you must learn. You have to learn to master your tongue with the same discipline with a soldier masters his sword. A sheathed sword is safety. A sword waved by a madman is a massacre. By controlling your speech, you stop the internal and external chaos, allowing your words to become the precise instruments of creation they were always meant to be. Now lest the physics of God real cymatics, so that your rational mind does not reject this as fairy tales. Let us talk about the science of sound. There is a discipline called cymatics. You are giving orders to matter. The magic word par excellence, abracadabra, is not a circus trick. It comes from ancient Aramaic. It means I create as I speak. It is the technical definition of the function of the tongue. The king looks at the empty account, recognizes the cold fact but does not pronounce it. The king imposes a new truth over the old one. The king decrees, abundance flows toward me. My coffers are being filled. The unexamined mind laughs and says, liar, look at the numbers now. The king smiles because he knows that reality is slow. He knows that the physical truth of is only the result of the decrees of yesterday. The educational system taught you to use words to be a good employee, to obey, and to repeat. It did not teach you to use them to create. It taught you grammar, but it hid the grimoire from you. Observe how poor and defeated people speak. Now their vocabulary is infected with linguistic viruses. Every time you complain, you are declaring, I am weak. They have power over my mood. Furthermore, the complaint is magnetic. It attracts more things to complain about. It is trash calling to trash. Solomon forbade complaining in his court. He contained the energy of the idea within himself. That energy, being unable to leave through the mouth, was forced to leave through the hands. In action, tell your dreams to the unexamined mind, and he will destroy them for you with a doubt or a mockery. That is impossible, he will tell you, and his negative word will act as a poison in your subconscious. Speak only when your word is more valuable than your silence. You are creating an agri or thought form of hate. But here is the karmic trick. The poison always passes through the mouth of the serpent first in this world. Now, before your criticism reaches the other, it has vibrated in your throat. A decree is an alignment with the law. 1. Use the I am. It is the name of God. What follows these two words is an order of creation. Never say I am poor or I am sick. The final tool of the tongue is the blessing. Benedicere to say well. Blessing is not a religious act of priests. It is a magical act of multiplication. What you bless grows. Your task for this chapter is brutally simple and difficult. For the next 7 days, you will watch your mouth like a sentinel. Complaining is forbidden about anything. not the weather, nor traffic, nor pain. If a complaint arises, bite your tongue. Your energy level will rise because you have stopped leaking power through your mouth. You will realize that you are the architect of your destiny, and that every word you speak is a stone in the foundation of your new empire. Chapter 3. The Unruled Forces Within. You have been told that the righteous man kills his monsters. They have lied to you. The man who kills his monsters is left alone and without strength. The wise king does not exterminate the wild beasts of his territory. He captures them, trains them, and hitches them to his carriage. Consider the third principle. Do not fear the beast of the abyss that roars in your gut. Put a gold collar on it, whisper your name to it, and make it work day and night to build your temple. For an angel is pure light, but a bound demon is brute force. The most famous legend of Solomon speaks of his brass vessel. The Testament of Solomon and the magic keys Lamagedon narrate how the king summoned one by one the 72 principal demons of the infernal hierarchy, but he did not do it to sell them his soul. He did not do it to worship them. He did it to enslave them. The story goes that Solomon, using his ring, forced these spirits to build. He forced these chaotic spirits to cut the stones and raise the columns of the great temple of Jerusalem. The temple of God was built by the hands of demons under the direction of a king. Stop and think about the magnitude of this metaphor. Exoteric religion for the masses tells you to pray for your rage to go away. Religion asks you to castrate yourself. It asks you to be a good boy, harmless without teeth. But a castrated man cannot build an empire. A man without a shadow has no volume. He is a caricature. The psychological Goetia is the art of going down to the basement of your psyche, where you have chained your traumas. Now it is where you have chained your vices and primitive impulses and releasing them conditionally. They are energy archetypes living in your limbic system and your subconscious. They are rage, lust, greed, pride, envy, and rebellion. They are nuclear forces. Society tells you they are bad. Solomon tells you they are fuel. Electricity can electrocute you if you touch it unknowingly, or it can light a city if you conduct it through a wire. The direction is set by the king. You must learn to harness these internal currents for your work. I'm the error of repression creating the shadow. Carl Jung, the psychologist who rediscovered alchemy, called it the shadow. Everything you deny about yourself does not disappear. It goes to the basement, and in the darkness, it grows. It becomes resentful, monstrous, and autonomous. King Solomon the mage knows his evil. He knows what he is capable of. And precisely because he knows it, he can control it. I am dangerous, but I decide not to be. Being harmless because you have no claws is not virtue. The circle draws the limit. I am the observer. That emotion is the object. I am not the emotion in this world. You are inside the circle. The beast is outside in the triangle of manifestation. You negotiate with it, but you do not merge with it. This separation allows you to utilize the raw power of your impulses without losing your sanity or your purpose, ensuring that you remain the master of the energy and not its slave. Throat Asmodeus, the transmutation of desire, lust. Let's talk about the most powerful and omnipresent demon. It is Asmodeus working under contract. It is sex converted into power. Now femme anger as an engine of justice. The demon Ammon rules anger and hate. We are taught that anger is bad. The spiritual poor man says money is the root of all evil. The depraved rich man says, I would sell my mother for money. King Solomon, the richest man in the Bible, says money is a tool for the expansion of the kingdom. Ambition and the desire for more are natural. Life always wants more life. I am not ashamed, but then put the collar on it. But you will not rule me. I will not be your slave. You will serve me. Opulence, joy of creating. Is the demon tamed now? The art of invisibility and strategy. Bel, the first king of the Goetia, grants the power of invisibility. Psychologically, this is not becoming transparent. Feel where it is in your body. Is it a knot in the stomach? Is it heat in the chest? Give it a visual form in your imagination. Put a face on it. I take the risk. You stop being in a civil war with yourself. Your internal army is unified. A man who has made peace with his demons is invincible because he has no internal enemies who can open the city gates from the inside. You become a singular cohesive force capable of absolute focus and total manifestation. Learn to hold the tension of opposites. Learn to cook yourself in your own fire without consuming yourself. That is where the steel of the soul is forged. This internal pressure is power. Z building the temple. She does not kill it with a sword. She dominates it with serenity. That is the goal. Do not want to be a sinless saint. That is boring and sterile. The transition from internal mastery to external abundance begins now. Chapter 4. The Alchemy of Gold. The Magnetism of Wealth. I have seen princes walking like beggars and servants on horseback like princes. The error is not in the purse, but in the mind. The world has lied to you by saying that holiness dwells in poverty. Consider the fourth principle. Gold is not pursued, it is attracted. The beggar asks with an outstretched hand and receives crumbs. The king assumes with a closed hand and receives tributes. Wealth is the physical reflection of your internal glory. Let's talk about what everyone wants and few understand. King Solomon was, according to the Chronicles, the richest man who has ever walked the earth. It is said that he received 6 talents of gold each year, a symbolic figure of absolute material power. There was as much silver in Jerusalem as stones on the ground. And yet the religions that say they follow his texts now, they have taught you to feel guilt for desiring wealth. They have told you that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That is a translation for slaves. The eye of the needle was a narrow gate in the walls of Jerusalem in this world. The camel could pass, but it had to be unloaded of its baggage and kneel. The teaching is not that you should not have camels or gold. The teaching is that you must not be attached to the load. You must be able to let it go and kneel before divinity. But once inside, the camel and the gold are yours again in your life. Now in this chapter, we are going to clean your mind of the trash of scarcity. We are going to teach you the alchemy of gold. You will discover that money is not a metallic or paper object. Money is liquid energy. It is a current, and you are the channel. If the channel is blocked by fear or guilt, the river diverts elsewhere. Now money does not discriminate. Money obeys the physics of attraction. To master this alchemy, you must learn to harmonize your internal vibration with the frequency of abundance, ensuring that your mental and emotional state acts as a powerful beacon that draws prosperity toward your kingdom with effortless grace and power. The spiritual nature of money current. Why do you think money is called currency and circulating? Why is there talk of cash flow and liquidity? Because money behaves like water. You will build temples, hospitals, art. If you are a mean and cruel person, money will amplify your cruelty. You will finance wars, vices. Money does not corrupt you. Money reveals you in this world. The king operates from assumption. The king does not need. The king has even if his coffers are temporarily empty in his life. Now the king maintains the internal posture of opulence. He knows that money is his birthright. It is called dead because it receives water from the Jordan River but does not let it out. It has no drain. It accumulates and accumulates salt until no life can exist there. Many men are like the Dead Sea. They want to receive money, but they are terrified to let it go. Now fair hard work is for mules. Here we are going to destroy the myth of the sweat of the brow. You have been told if you work very hard, you will be rich. If hard work were the key to wealth, construction workers and pack mules would be the richest beings on the planet. Generally, they are the poorest. Is there dirt, disorder, broken things? Wealth does not enter dirty places. The energy of opulence requires order and beauty in your life. Now Solomon built a temple covered in gold, cedar, and precious stones, not out of vanity, but for resonance. If you feel thief, surely a drug dealer, how unfair, damn rich person, you have just put a steel wall between yourself and wealth. Your subconscious records it. Now it records your emotional reaction. If you hate the rich, your subconscious says, "The king hates the rich. I must protect the king." He traded with them. By celebrating the success of others, you signal to the universe that you are ready and willing to participate in that same level of prosperity. Zapier, the mental talisman, the golden vision. How to reprogram the poor mind with the visualization of the golden ocean. Close your eyes for a moment. If you go with a bucket, you will get a bucket. If you go with an industrial pipe, you will get a river. The ocean does not change. Dare to ask and to expect much more. Tell the universe, "I am ready to receive the ocean." Your vision determines your harvest. If you serve few, you earn little. If you serve many, like Solomon, you earn much. Find your gift, polish it until it shines, and deliver it to the world with audacity. False humility does not pay bills. The world is longing to pay you, but it needs to know what you sell and who you are. Act like the king and the king's coffers will be filled. Chapter 5. The Seal of Protection, Boundaries and Sovereignty. I have seen beautiful vineyards trampled by wild boars because the owner in his foolishness removed the fence to appear kind. I have seen palaces looted not by the force of an invading army, but because the king left the back door open to flatterers and parasites. Now listen to the fifth principle. A torn-down wall invites the thief. A spirit without a seal is a house open to all winds. Kindness without barriers is not holiness. You have accumulated power. You have begun to shine. And here comes the inevitable law of nature. Light attracts insects in this world. The more you shine, the more darkness will come looking for you, not out of hatred, but out of hunger. The universe is full of entities, physical and non-physical, that are empty, disconnected from their own source, and desperately seeking a battery to feed on. You are that battery. Now, if you have followed the steps of this grimoire, you have magnetism. You have gold being born in your hands. You have become exquisite prey. King Solomon is famous for his seal, the hexog. Popular culture believes it is a drawing to scare away ghosts in horror movies. Right now, the initiate knows that the seal is a technology of boundaries. It is the architectural declaration that your being is a sovereign territory where no one enters without a visa. Most people live without skin. They are unbridled empaths, people pleasers, incapable of saying no in their lives. Now they believe being a good person means being always available, always open, always ready to carry the emotional trash of others. Solomon tells you that is weakness. That is a lack of self-respect. A king without borders is not a king. He is a public space, and public spaces are always dirty and mistreated. Right now, in this chapter, we are going to build your wall. You will learn to detect vampires. You will learn the sacred art of the no. You will learn to close your aura hermetically so that you can walk through hell without smelling of smoke. You will reclaim your space as a sovereign ruler of your own energy. The biology of defense, the membrane. Let's look at nature. God's open book. The basic unit of life is the cell. What defines a cell? The membrane is intelligent. It lets in nutrients what nourishes and expels toxins what poisons. And above all, it keeps out viruses and bacteria in the biological world. Now, if the membrane breaks or becomes too permeable, the cell dies. It dissolves into the environment. It loses its identity. You are a cell in the body of humanity. But access to your life must be strictly conditional. Jesus, heir to the lineage of Solomon, said it brutally. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine. This is not elitism. It is spiritual hygiene. When you carry the seal engraved on your heart, you become slippery to evil. Curses, envy, and hatred bounce off because they find no hook to hold on to. Envy only affects you if a part of you believes it is unworthy. If you know who you are, sovereign, the other's envy is their problem, not yours. Now identifying the vampires, the siege. That only gives him more food. The vampire is starved to death. Access is cut off. The seal of protection is activated when you detect the parasite and close the floodgate without explanations, without apologies, without guilt. By denying the parasite your energetic reaction, you render its attacks useless and protect the sanctity of your internal kingdom from external drainage. Solomon teaches us the royal refusal. The king does not make excuses. The king does not wish to do it. Learn to disappoint others before you disappoint yourself. Your energy is a limited and sacred resource. Visualize that 1 meter from your body. The outer surface is a mirror. Everything from outside, anger, envy, hits the mirror and bounces back to its origin. It does not enter. The inner surface is transparent. If nothing of the external world is really yours, then nothing can really damage you. If you lose money, it is just money. You are still the king. If they criticize you, it is just wind. You are still the king. He had generals and allies, but there were rings of access. The outer court, the public, social networks, the holy place, friends, partners, the most holy place, the intimates, those loyal under fire. Now the unexamined mind's error is letting people from the outer court into the most holy place on the first day. You tell your deepest secrets to someone you just met. When you forget who you are, when you believe you are small, a sinner, or a victim, you have lost the ring. Asmodeus, chaos sits on your throne and your life collapses. The seal of protection is ultimately memory, remembering at every moment your real status in this world. No one can humiliate you if you do not accept the humiliation. Let your kindness be a choice, not a lack of options. You are now the sovereign master of your own fortress. Chapter 6. The Living Temple, Your Body and Your Environment. I built a house to the name of Jehovah covered with gold, cedar, and precious stones, because I knew that the presence does not descend into chaos or filth. But I have seen men who seek power while dwelling in ruinous bodies, and sleeping in rooms that look like dens of beasts, the unexamined mind. They do not understand that the spirit is a gas that takes the shape of the vessel that contains it. Consider the 6th principle. Wisdom does not dwell in a negligent body, nor power in a dirty house. Your flesh is the cornerstone. If the stone cracks, the arch collapses. King Solomon is famous for a masterpiece of engineering, the first temple of Jerusalem. He spared no expense. He imported cedar wood from Lebanon, brought the best craftsmen from Tyre, and used tons of pure gold to cover the Holy of Holies. Why so much luxury? Does God need gold? God consciousness needs nothing. But Solomon knew a secret of resonance. High vibration requires quality. It requires a high-quality container to anchor itself on earth. If you try to discharge a high-voltage lightning bolt into an oxidized and thin copper wire, the wire melts. If you try to discharge divine wisdom and massive success into an intoxicated, weak and hunched body, the nervous system collapses in this world. This chapter is not a gymnastics class or a decorating tutorial. It is a treatise on vessel engineering. You are the magician. Your mind is the software, but your body and your environment are the hardware. You can have the best software in the world, but if the computer is full of dust and overheats, The software does not run. Now most spiritual seekers despise matter. They believe the body is a prison or a nuisance. Solomon tells you your body is the temple and your house is the extension of your body. If you want to reign, you have to clean the palace. You must prepare the physical structure to withstand the power of the sovereign spirit you are invoking. Either heresy of neglect, weak body, weak mind. It just wants to sleep and eat sugar. It doesn't want to conquer empires. It doesn't want to think big. Fatigue is the killer of ambition. The initiate understands that his body is his war vehicle. It is sacred geometry. The spine is your antenna. It is the axis mundi, the axis of the world that connects heaven, brain, mind with earth, sacrum, instinct. When you slouch, you break the connection. You lower your head. That is your first declaration of sovereignty. I occupy my place in space. I do not shrink before anyone. The altar of sacrifice, the mouth and the stomach. In Solomon's temple, there was a bronze altar where sacrifices were made. Overeating dulls the edge of the mind in life. Heavy digestion robs all the blood from the brain to send it to the stomach. A king with a full and heavy stomach is a stupid and sleepy king. Solomon ate delicacies, yes, but he ate life, foods that contain sunlight, pure water. The king's diet is a high-frequency diet. It drains your attention. Every object out of place is screaming at you, "Order me," and that exhausts your mental CPU. Solomon did not live in filth. Order is the first law of heaven. If you want to change your life, start by making your bed. Do not tolerate it. Your house must be your sanctuary, your base of operations. It must inspire power, peace, and beauty in you. By transforming your immediate surroundings into a reflection of excellence, you program your mind to accept nothing less than greatness in every other area of your sovereign life. The aesthetics of power, beauty, and quality. Have few things, but let them be the best you can afford. Let each object be a power talisman. Now further cleaning ritual purification in ceremonial magic. Before invoking any entity, the magician bathes and cleans the temple. Physical cleaning is a spiritual act. Water washes not only sweat, but the astral miasma that sticks to you during the day when interacting with negative people. The body's sewage system has no pump. It only moves if you move. If you are sedentary, you rot inside. Literally, the king needs to be physically strong. Physical strength gives you a presence that cannot be faked. Your task for this chapter is a purge and reconstruction. This weekend you are going to take out the trash, take big bags, go through your house. Everything you don't use is broken, is ugly, or brings bad memories to the trash or donate. Feel your mind clear as space empties. Now the deep clean. Make your house so beautiful it looks like heaven. God does not live in dumps. If you want luck, money and love to visit you, prepare the guest room, clean the house, put out fresh flowers, open the windows, and wait. Because when the temple is ready, the presence inevitably descends. Your external order creates the invitation for divine abundance to manifest. Chapter 7. The Vanity of Illusions. I have climbed to the peak of the highest mountain, and I have drunk the sweetest wine. I have possessed 1,000 women, and I have accumulated gold enough to pave the streets. I have built palaces that defy time, and I have deciphered the enigmas of the universe. And at the end of it all, I sat on my throne. Now I looked at my empire and let out a laugh that frightened the vultures, because I understood the cosmic joke. Consider the seventh principle. I have seen everything that is done under the sun. And consider, all is vanity and catching winds. The unexamined mind attaches to his sandcastle. The wise man builds it with mastery. But he smiles when the tide takes it away because he knows that he is the ocean, not the castle. Welcome to the abyss. Until now, I have taught you to be a king. I have taught you to strengthen your mind, to use your tongue to create reality, to tame your demons for energy, to attract gold, and to protect your temple. You have learned to win the game of life. But a player who wins the game but forgets that he is playing remains a prisoner of the screen. The book of Ecclesiastes, Kohelet, is perhaps the most dangerous and misinterpreted text in the Bible. Religious people read it and see depression. They see an embittered old man. Now they see someone saying that nothing matters. The initiate reads it and sees the red pill matrix. Solomon was not depressed. He had reached the end of the material map. He had achieved everything a human being can desire: power, sex, money, wisdom, fame, and he discovered the great secret. None of that fills the void. None of that is solid. I hear the smoke and the wind. The Hebrew word that Solomon repeats like an obsessive mantra is he. Bibles mistranslated as vanity, but he literally means vapor, smoke, breath, or mist. It seems solid from afar. You see the mist on the mountain, and it looks like a white wall, but when you get close and try to grab it, there is nothing. It escapes between your fingers. Your money is heavy. Tomorrow a stock market crash or a war makes it disappear. Your fame is heavy. Tomorrow they forget you. Your body is heavy. It is young and strong. He cries in his pain. Now the wise king understands the nature of smoke. He does not try to catch it. He plays with it. He enjoys the shapes it makes, while it lasts. But he does not cry when it leaves. This is radical detachment. It is not indifference. It is not apathy. It is the ability to enjoy something without needing it to exist. The first million excites you. The second is normal. The third bores you. Now the first woman is a conquest. Number 500 is a formality. When the avatar is wounded, you scream. When the avatar loses gold coins, you cry. Nothing that happens on the screen can harm the player. Radical detachment is the lucidity of the gamer. You play to win. Others play with fear. They are afraid of losing their prestige, their money, their security. It makes them conservative and boring. You knowing everything is heavy illusion. Now you play with audacity. You look at your house and say, "It is mine." You have a deed that says so. Solomon laughs. Try taking it with you when you die. Stop breathing for 5 minutes and you will see whose body it is. Not your house, nor your car, nor your money, nor your partner, nor your children, not even your body. Modern society hides death. It puts on makeup. It puts it in aseptic hospitals. We live as if we were immortal. That is why we waste time on nonsense. The king accepts death and therefore obeys no one other than his consciousness. Use the certainty of your end to fuel the intensity of your present and the boldness of your actions. Now find a way, effortless action. In Taoism, there is the concept of Wu Wei. No action nor effortless action. It is the law of cosmic flirting. The one who needs the other person less has the power in the relationship. Be the one who needs the world least, and the world will pursue you. By surrendering the need for specific outcomes, you allow the infinite intelligence of the universe to bring you even greater rewards than you could imagine, says the king's laughter, the cosmic joke. Fu, nothing to lose. The most dangerous man in the world is the one who has nothing to lose, or rather, the one who has realized that you cannot lose what was never yours. If you are not afraid of losing your reputation, you will tell the truth. If you are not afraid of losing your money, you will invest with audacity in your life. My partner, my money, my prestige, my youth. Imagine the worst-case scenario. Imagine you lose it all. Imagine your house burns down. Your account is at zero. The closed hand fist makes the sand escape. Let go of control, and you will see how the universe comes to eat from your palm. Chapter 8. The integration of opposites. The fusion of poles. They say the wise man must flee from woman so as not to lose his strength. I say that the wise man who flees from the feminine is only half a man, a king of a sterile desert. The sun with all its fire cannot grow even a blade of grass without the moisture of the moon and the earth. Consider the earth principle. The king without the queen is a sun without earth. It burns but does not create. Strength, the one is impotent without reception. True magic does not occur in the solitude of the throne, but in the abyss of union. King Solomon, at the height of his glory, possessed all a man dreams of. He had the gold, he had the temple, he had the armies, and he had the demons under his command. But esoteric tradition tells us that his true initiation, the moment his wisdom became complete, was not when he built the temple, but when a woman crossed the gates of Jerusalem, the Queen of Sheba. Right now, in the Ethiopian texts and in Masonic legend, she did not come just to admire him. She came to test him. She came to challenge him with riddles. She came to see if the great king was only intellect and muscle, or if he had a soul. This chapter is about the mystery of the queen and the fusion of internal poles. It is a chapter on spiritual nuclear physics. We live in a dual universe, positive and negative, electric and magnetic, masculine and feminine. Modern society in its confusion tries to erase these differences. It tries to make us all equal and neutral. The alchemist knows that neutrality is the death of energy. For there to be a spark, for there to be creation, for there to be life, there must be polarity. You must understand how the feminine energy, the queen, works, and how to merge it with your masculine energy, the king, to create the philosopher's stone. This internal marriage is the key to absolute manifestation in your life. Solomon has the structure, the vessel, but she brings the content, the wine. The incomplete king fears the queen. He fears the powerful woman or his own intuition because they are irrational. They cannot be controlled with logic. Now many men build cynical walls around their hearts and say, women are a distraction or love weakens. You, regardless of your biological sex, have both principles. But power resides in tension. A battery only works if the positive pole is very positive and the negative very negative. If you mix them, it discharges. In your life, you need to know when to be king and when to be queen. Intuition queen jumps into the void and brings the answer now without analysis. Now it is quantum. How many times have you had a bad feeling about a business or a person, but your logic said, don't be silly. The numbers add up. You did the business, and it was a disaster. For Solomon, the author of the Song of Solomon, sex is thy divine magic. It is the act where the king and the queen fuse to become a creator god for an instant. During the sexual act, a massive amount of electromagnetic energy is generated. The orgasm is not just a pleasant convulsion, it is a portal opening. Look into her eyes. In that union, you can heal traumas. You can conceive million-dollar ideas. You can rejuvenate the body. Alchemical sex is the source of youth. Now you have to open your hands and say, yes, thank you. I deserve this. You have to let the universe pamper you. If you are always struggling, pushing and forcing excess masculine energy, the universe cannot deliver its gifts because you have your fists closed. Control your effort, but trust the result. By allowing yourself to be the recipient of the world's abundance, you complete the circuit of manifestation, ensuring that your hard work as the king is balanced by the grace and magnetic pull of the queen, leading to a life of effortless prosperity and fulfillment. The dark feminine part tells you don't go to war. If you always listen, you castrate yourself. You become soft and lose your edge. If you loved me, you would do this. King Solomon knew how to deal with these shadows. Da Vinci, Tesla, Bowie. Now they had an ambiguous quality. They were men, but they had a deep connection with the feminine, intuition, aesthetics, sensitivity. That is what made them great. A 100% masculine man is a cave brute. Are you tired of fighting alone? Do you feel ignored now? Visualize them both approaching the center of your chest. They merge into a blinding white light. Breathe through the right nostril. Now it is the state where effort disappears and synchronicity takes command. It is the state where you build temples without the sound of hammers, as the legend says, using the magic shamir to cut the stones in silence. It is magical action. You become the living center of a reality that reorganizes itself around your perfect balance. Chapter 9. Time and opportunity, rhythm and cycles. I have seen the fastest runner lose the race and the strongest warrior lose the battle. I have seen the brilliant man die poor and the unexamined mind grow rich. Is the universe an unjust chaos? It is a precision clock that most ignore. The secret lies not only in the force of the blow, but in the instant of impact. Consider the ninth principle. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. The unexamined mind fights against the current and drowns. The wise man waits for the tide, rides the wave, and sails effortlessly to the shore. Imagine two farmers in their fields. The first is impatient, anxious, and hard-working. He goes out in the middle of winter with snow covering the ground and starts sowing seeds. He works 18 hours a day. He sweats, bleeds, and strives. The second sits by the fire, sharpening his tools, reading and resting. The world calls the first a hero and the second lazy. But when spring arrives, the first has no harvest. His seeds died frozen. His effort was sterile. The second goes out on the first day of spring, sows with ease, and by autumn he is rich. No, it was synchronization. King Solomon was the master of timing, the art of time in this world. In his famous text of Ecclesiastes 3, he left us the binary code of the universe: a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up. People read this at funerals as pretty poetry. The initiate reads it as military strategy. The universe is not a static straight line, it is a cycle. Inhale and exhale, rise and fall. It is summer and it is winter. If you try to live in an eternal summer, always growing, always winning, always active, you are fighting against cosmic law, and the law always wins. In this chapter, you will learn to stop looking at the clock, Chronos, and start looking at the stars. You will start looking at the signs, Kairos. You will learn that patience is not passivity. It is a weapon. You will learn to detect the window of opportunity and to jump through it before it closes for good in your life. The clock versus the moment. The Greeks had two words for time. Chronos is clock time, seconds, minutes, hours. It is the time of the slave. A single minute of Kairos is worth all. The moment of the kiss, the moment of the signature, the moment of the shot. It is worth more than 100 hours of Chronos. Modern society has enslaved you to Chronos. Time is money, they tell you. 2. The wheel of fortune. Nothing new under the sun. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. This phrase from Solomon is the basis of economic and political prediction. History does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. By aligning your actions with the natural ease and flows of reality, you move with a power that those who resist the cycles can never hope to match. Now threat the sin of precipitating the process. What is the mage's greatest enemy? It is not doubt. Haste is a manifestation of fear. Fear that there is not enough time. Anxiety does not accelerate the result. It delays it because it introduces a vibration of resistance. By allowing the natural time of development to pass, you ensure that the final manifestation is strong, stable, and ready for the world. FYI Wu-Wei, the predator's strategy. There is a concept in Taoism called Wu-Wei, action without action, that Solomon understood perfectly. This is where the Queen comes in. The universe sends you signals. When it is not the time, everything is difficult. There is constant friction. The unexamined mind keeps pushing. Thera, a time to kill and a time to heal. Solomon is brutally honest in Ecclesiastes. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. Modern morality tells us that building and healing are always good, and killing and destroying are always bad. It is the patience of one waiting to win the lottery. Aggressive patience is that of the hunter in the wild. The hunter is still, yes, but his muscles are tense, his eye is fixed, his breathing is controlled. He is actively waiting while you wait for your opportunity. 1. Prepare, study, train. The king uses silence as a pressure tool. Now he asks a question. The king remains silent. The other feels uncomfortable and starts talking more, revealing information he didn't want to give. Take time to respond. By living with the constant awareness of your own end, you strip away the trivial and the false, leaving only the pure gold of your sovereign mission and joy. To align your internal clock with the cosmic clock. Practice this observation for 3 days. When do you have more energy? I know how to wait like the lion. Chapter 10. The Lion Heart, Courage, and Legacy. I have seen wise men who out of fear silenced their truth and died forgotten. I have seen strong men who out of fear did not cross the threshold and died poor. It is useless to have the treasure map if your legs tremble when you take the first step. Knowledge without courage is just a file in a dusty library. Consider the 10th principle. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a young lion. The world steps aside when it sees a man pass by who knows where he is going and who is not afraid to walk alone. The symbol of the tribe of Judah, the lineage of Solomon, is the lion in this world. Now it is not the sheep. It is not the dove. It is the supreme predator, the king of the jungle. Because the lion represents manifested sovereignty, the lion does not ask permission to eat. He does not apologize for occupying space. He does not need the pride to validate his existence. The lion is his presence orders the chaos. Now you have traveled a long way in this grimoire. You have learned to control your mind, your tongue, your demons, and your money. But there is one last wall that separates the initiate from the master. Fear is the final guardian of the treasure. It is the three-headed dog, Cerberus, that guards the gate of the underworld. Most people reach the gate, see the dog, get scared, and turn around. They return to their mediocre lives, saying, "It wasn't for me," or "It's too risky." The Dark Solomon tells you, fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal that you are before something important. What you fear most is almost always what you must do. Now, in the anatomy of cowardice, the wicked flee. Let's analyze the proverb. The wicked flee when no man pursueth. Who is the wicked in the esoteric code? It is not the atheist. It is the unaligned. It is the one who has betrayed his own soul. The coward lives in a state of constant paranoia. He is afraid of losing his job. He is afraid of his partner leaving him. Now he is afraid of getting sick. He is afraid of the neighbor's opinion. No one is physically pursuing him, but he runs. He runs from the truth. He runs from his potential. He lives in a mental prison built with the bricks of security. Security is the most expensive drug in the world. You pay with your dreams for a dose. The system sells you security. Obey, study, work, retire, and die quietly. The king knows that security is an illusion. Life is by definition insecure. A meteorite could fall tomorrow. To seek security is to seek death in life. The lion does not seek security. He seeks freedom in this world. Now 'tis the virtue of dangerousness. Modern religion has castrated the masculine figure and feminine force by selling the image of the Lamb of God as the only way. Turn the other cheek. Solomon reminds you that God is also the Lion of Judah. An inoffensive man is not a good man. The brass vessel that is meekness, power under control. You need to recover your capacity to be dangerous. You need the world to know that if you are stepped on, you will bite. Interestingly, when the world knows you have teeth, it stops stepping on you in your life. 3. Fear as a compass. Cold fire. Do you think King Solomon, when summoning demons or facing enemy armies, did not feel fear? Fear indicates where the growth is. Go toward the fire. What burns is your false ego. What remains is your gold. Thy the solitude of the Alpha walking alone. They will not understand your language. At the top, the air is thin, but the view is spectacular, and the company is of kings. The legacy, building for eternity. Why did Solomon build the temple? He knew his physical body was going to die. What are you going to leave here? A building, a book, a business, an idea that changes the world. If your life is only about consuming oxygen and food, you are a tourist in existence. Solomon demands us to be architects. Your life is your material. Your work is your monument. Solomon did not hesitate. He ordered the windows to be opened. The bees went straight to the real flower. The audacity to open the window, changing the context, using nature, solved the problem. When in doubt, error through action can be corrected. Will you kill me? You will only free me from the body. My name will remain. That attitude is maximum power. Live each day as if it were your last day of reign. Speak with a period. The roar is the acoustic manifestation of your will. If you believe in yourself, your voice will become deeper, slower, and more resonant. Touch the ritual of the lion heart. This is the final preparation exercise. Fear is my fuel. Death is my advisor. I walk alone if necessary. I have the king's heart. My legacy is eternal. Conclusion. The unwritten choice. The central lesson of forbidden Proverbs of Solomon is not that a single thought controls every event. It is that unconscious patterns become powerful when they remain unnamed. The moment a pattern can be observed, it can be questioned. The moment it can be questioned, a different response becomes possible. Bring the central idea back to ordinary life. Choose one situation in which you usually react automatically. Name the pattern without condemning yourself. Decide what a more conscious response would look like, and practice that response in one small action. A principle becomes useful only when it changes what you notice and what you do. Do not use these ideas to blame yourself for circumstances outside your control, to ignore material conditions, or to replace qualified care. Use them where your agency is real. The meaning you assign, the standards you keep, the language you repeat, the attention you train, and the next action you choose. When the inner throne becomes stable, the final frontier is not greater control, but the silence beyond habitual thought. The purpose of this journey is not to replace evidence, professional care, or practical action with belief. It is to make your inner participation visible so that attention, language, emotion, and behavior can become conscious instruments rather than invisible habits.